History is not a straight line of progress. We often look back with modern arrogance, imagining ourselves as the peak of civilization. Yet the shadows of the past whisper secrets that defy explanation. From the impossible astronomical precision of the Giza pyramids to the Antikythera Mechanism, an analog computer built in an age without electricity, we encounter legacies of profound genius. Were these isolated miracles, or the last surviving traces of a forgotten global civilization whose understanding of science and the cosmos was lost to time? High in the desolate mountains of southeastern Turkey, where the wind sweeps across barren peaks and the air grows thin with silence, lies one of the most mysterious sites ever built by human hands, Mount Nemrut, the resting place of kings and gods. It is a mountain that defies time, crowned by colossal stone faces that still gaze toward the rising and setting sun after more than 2,000 years. This sacred summit, standing over 2,100 meters above sea level, was once the heart of a forgotten kingdom, Commagene, and its ruler, King Antiochus III, believed he could bridge the world of mortals and immortals. Was his ambition human arrogance or the limitless dream of a visionary soul? When German engineer Carl Sester first stumbled upon the site in 1881, he could hardly believe what he saw. Massive stone heads, each nearly 2 meters tall, lay scattered across the ground like the remains of fallen gods. Behind them loomed an artificial mound of crushed limestone, an immense man-made mountain within a mountain. It was not a natural formation, but a tomb, a temple, and a cosmic symbol all in one. Scholars soon realized they had uncovered one of the strangest royal monuments of the ancient world, a project born from the mind of a king who dared to turn his own grave into a temple of eternity. Antiochus reigned during the 1st century BCE over Commagene, a small but prosperous kingdom wedged between the empires of Rome and Parthia. Influenced by both Greek and Persian cultures, he declared himself Theos, a living god. To immortalize his divine status, he commissioned a monumental sanctuary atop Mount Nemrut, a place so remote that only the gods themselves could reach it. He ordered his tomb to be hidden within a mound of loose stones, guarded by colossal statues representing both Eastern and Western deities: Zeus Oromasdes, Apollo Mithras, Hercules Artanius, and himself among them. Yet the deepest mystery of Mount Nemrut lies not in its statues or inscriptions, but in the tomb that has never been found. The Great Mound, roughly 50 meters high and 150 meters wide, is believed to conceal the burial chamber of Antiochus III. Yet despite over a century of study, its interior remains untouched. The mound is composed of hundreds of thousands of small stones, deliberately chosen to make excavation nearly impossible. Any attempt to dig into it would cause the entire structure to collapse, sealing its secrets forever. Modern archaeologists and geophysicists have tried to penetrate this mystery with non-invasive technology. Ground-penetrating radar and seismic surveys have revealed anomalies, possible cavities or chambers hidden deep within, but nothing definitive. Some scans suggest symmetrical voids, perhaps tunnels or vaults built by human hands. Still, every effort to confirm them has failed, as though the mountain itself refuses intrusion. It is as if Antiochus foresaw the curiosity of future generations and designed his tomb to defy them for all eternity. Theories abound. Some believe the king's remains were never placed within the mound, that it serves as a symbolic tomb, a cenotaph representing his union with the gods rather than a physical burial. Others argue that somewhere deep inside lies a sealed chamber, lined with inscriptions, treasures, or celestial maps, revealing the cosmic philosophy of the Commagene kingdom. A few even whisper that the tomb may hold relics of knowledge inherited from lost civilizations, wisdom Antiochus claimed as his divine inheritance from Greek philosophers and Persian. The ancient inscriptions, carved into the terraces of Mount Nemrut, speak of Antiochus's desire for eternal communion with the gods, but never mention where his body rests. Some passages describe a sacred resting place that faces the rising sun. Others hint at a secret chamber known only to the priests of Comagene. Could hidden tunnels wind beneath the mountain? Could the true tomb still lie undisturbed somewhere within its heart? Mount Nemrut stands as both monument and mystery, a testament to humanity's eternal longing to touch the divine. Was Antiochus's vision an act of arrogance, or the dream of a soul that refused to accept mortal limits? Perhaps, in the silence of that mountain, the answer still waits, buried among the stones, gazing forever toward the heavens, the colossal seated statues, or perhaps a secret passage carved deep into the bedrock before the mound was raised. Every possibility feels both plausible and unreachable. The surrounding terraces only deepen the mystery. On the eastern side, rows of monumental thrones and statues gaze toward the sunrise, while the western terrace mirrors them, facing the setting sun. This was no coincidence. It was a deliberate celestial alignment. Many researchers believe that Mount Nemrut was more than a royal tomb. It may have served as an ancient observatory, tracking the movements of the sun and moon. The entire complex seems to embody the eternal cycle of life, death, and rebirth, a reflection of King Antiochus's belief that he would ascend to dwell among the gods in eternal light. Every statue, altar, and relief appears to follow a cosmic design, merging astronomy with theology. Yet despite all these insights, the tomb itself remains untouched, a challenge to human curiosity and pride. The great mound still stands as a silent guardian, daring anyone to disturb it. Excavation is strictly forbidden by Turkish authorities, not only to preserve the site's integrity, but because the structure is so fragile that even a small disturbance could bring it down. Nature, too, has played its part in protecting the monument. Earthquakes have toppled the massive statues, scattering their heads across the terraces. Yet the mound itself remains curiously intact, as if shielded by the will of the gods. This enduring resilience has fueled legends of divine protection. Locals whisper of a curse upon those who would dare to open the tomb, that Antiochus and his gods would unleash their wrath upon any who defile their sanctuary. Indeed, early 20th century expeditions reported strange misfortunes, failed equipment, sudden storms, and mysterious injuries that drove explorers back down the mountain. Whether coincidence or something more, these tales have only strengthened Mount Nemrut's reputation as a sacred and forbidden place. But beyond superstition lies something far deeper, a philosophical beauty. Antiochus the built Mount Nemrut, not merely as a tomb, but as a monument to human ambition. It was a place where a man sought to carve his name into eternity, to merge heaven and earth, east and west, mortal and divine. The mound may hide his body, but the surrounding sculptures immortalize his vision. Each stone is a declaration of faith that the human spirit, no matter how small, can reach toward the stars, and that death cannot silence the will to be remembered. Those who climb to the summit at dawn or dusk still feel that power. As the first light of the sun touches the weathered faces of the statues, the mountain seems to awaken. The broken heads cast long shadows across the terraces, and for a fleeting moment it feels as though the gods of Commagene have risen once more. Standing there, high above the clouds, one understands why Antiochus chose this place, a peak that seems to brush against eternity itself. Today, Mount Nemrut stands as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, admired as both an engineering marvel and a timeless riddle. Scholars continue to study it, and travelers continue to wonder. Yet its heart remains sealed, a perfect metaphor for humanity's eternal pursuit of knowledge, always reaching, never quite touching the divine. The silence of the tomb speaks louder than any discovery could. Perhaps some secrets were meant to remain hidden. Perhaps Antiochus achieved what he desired most, immortality through mystery. For as long as no one opens his tomb, the world will continue to imagine what lies within: treasure, scrolls, or perhaps nothing at all. And in that eternal question, in the space between knowledge and faith, Mount Nemrut will forever reign as one of the greatest enigmas of the ancient world. Would you dare to open the tomb of Antiochus if you had the chance? Or would you let it rest, guarding its secrets for eternity? Across the golden sands of Abu Ghurab, just north of Abu Sir, another ancient wonder lies almost forgotten, a monument rarely shown in documentaries or tourist guides, yet no less extraordinary. The sun temples of Nusair, built more than 4,400 years ago, are not mere relics of faith, but coded testaments to Egypt's deep understanding of the cosmos. While the Great Pyramids of Giza stand as the world's enduring symbols of Egyptian genius, few have heard of the mysterious Sun Temple of Nusair, the last and most complete of its kind. Dedicated to Ra, the sun god, the complex served as both a spiritual center and a scientific marvel. To the ancient Egyptians, the sun was not merely light, it was life itself, the power governing birth, death, and renewal. If these ancient builders could truly align their monuments with such precision, channeling sunlight with almost mathematical perfection, how did they achieve it more than 4 millennia ago? Without modern instruments? Was it pure observation, advanced astronomical knowledge, or the echo of a lost technology from an age long forgotten? Whatever the truth, Abu Ghurab continues to defy simple explanation. Every stone seems to whisper of a civilization whose grasp of light, geometry, and the cosmos went far beyond mere ritual. The 5th dynasty of Egypt marked a profound shift in spiritual thought. Earlier pharaohs were worshipped as divine beings themselves, embodiments of living gods. But Pharaoh Nusereini, the 6th ruler of that dynasty, envisioned something revolutionary, a temple not for his own worship, but for the sun itself. His reign saw the cult of Ra reach its zenith, and his sun temple at Abu Ghurab became the radiant heart of that cosmic faith, a stage for festivals celebrating rebirth, celestial balance, and the divine order of the universe. The temple's design was unlike anything Egypt had ever seen. There was no pyramid, no burial chamber, no statue of the pharaoh within. Instead stood an immense obelisk, rising from a flat base representing the Ben stone, the mythical point of creation where the first light touched the earth. Around it stretched open courtyards, sanctuaries offering tables and alabaster basins, all meticulously arranged to interact with sunlight in ways that continue to astonish modern engineers. What makes Abu Ghurab so extraordinary is its astronomical precision. Every wall, platform, and pathway aligns with the sun's movements. During the summer solstice, sunlight travels directly along the temple's central axis, illuminating the main altar in a perfect beam from the horizon. In winter, the alignment shifts, yet the light still strikes specific walls or carvings with mathematical accuracy. Such precision suggests the Egyptians possessed an advanced understanding of solar declination and seasonal movement, concepts that would not be formally described by modern astronomy until millennia later. The towering obelisk served not merely as a symbol of Ra, but as a giant gnomon functioning like a sundial. Its shadow traced the sun's path, allowing priests to calculate the time of day, predict solstices and equinoxes, and plan agricultural and ceremonial cycles. The temple, in essence, was both a sanctuary of worship and a working observatory. Centuries before the word astronomy even existed, modern measurements confirm that the temple's orientation deviates by less than 1 degree from true solar east-west. Alignment, an astonishing feat for an era without compasses or telescopes. Egyptologists suggest the builders used simple yet precise methods: shadow sticks, sighting rods, and ropes aligned with sunrise and sunset over an entire year. Yet others believe the priests of Ra held knowledge of geometry and timekeeping that far surpassed their age. Carved reliefs show priests performing rituals beneath blinding sunlight, pouring milk and wine into alabaster basins that reflected the sky above. Some scholars think these shimmering reflections were used to chart the sun's journey through the seasons, blending spiritual devotion with empirical observation. At dawn, when the first light of the sun struck the obelisk's polished limestone tip, a brilliant beam descended into the courtyard, bathing the alabaster altar in gold. Archaeologists have noted that on specific days each year, this beam aligned perfectly with the horizon, creating the illusion that the sun itself rested upon the earth. Such moments could not have been accidental. The builders of Abu Ghurab clearly studied the heavens, constructing their temple to mirror the rhythm of the cosmos. Every angle, every reflection was part of a greater harmony, the union of light and stone, of science and spirit. The materials themselves, alabaster, white limestone, and copper, were chosen not only for beauty, but for their ability to magnify sunlight, turning the temple into a living beacon of divine radiance. Ancient texts called it the horizon of Ra, the place where heaven touched the earth. If these temples truly served as observatories, what wisdom did they reveal? Many scholars believe they helped the Egyptians perfect the solar calendar, linking agricultural and religious cycles to celestial events. Others suggest they were the birthplaces of systematic timekeeping and astronomical study, foundations that later influenced Babylonian and Hellenistic science. Yet despite all we've learned, Abu Ghurab still guards its secrets. Channels carved into the stone floor lead nowhere. Circular basins remain unexplained. Traces of metallic residue hint at rituals or technologies now lost. Were these features symbolic or functional? Could the priests of Ra have found a way to harness sunlight in ways we no longer understand? The mystery endures. Beneath the desert sun, the ruins of Abu Ghurab still shimmer with unanswered questions. Was it a temple, an observatory, or something beyond both, a bridge between heaven and earth? A mystery that remains unsolved to this day. What do you think this ancient enigma reveals about humanity's forgotten knowledge? Share your thoughts below. Could it be faith, science, or something far greater that once united them? While no hard evidence supports the idea that the Sun Temple of Abu Ghurab converted sound into power during sacred ceremonies, the very existence of such theories shows just how extraordinary and how enigmatic this site remains. The genius of Egypt's sun temples lies in their dual nature. They were both sanctuaries of worship and centers of scientific measurement, where priests acted as astronomers and rituals unfolded in harmony with the movements of the heavens. This seamless blending of faith and science is what makes Nuser's legacy so endlessly fascinating. Every sunrise over Abu Ghurab was more than a natural spectacle. It was a reenactment of cosmic creation. As the first rays of dawn touched the temple, priests of Ra would chant hymns celebrating the god's daily rebirth. Each ceremony took place at the precise celestial moment when sunlight aligned with the temple's geometry, as though time itself bowed to divine order. Today, much of Nuser's temple lies in ruins, its obelisk shattered, its stones scattered, its purpose partly forgotten. Yet beneath the desert sands, archaeologists continue to unearth fragments suggesting that this temple was part of a vast network of solar sanctuaries, each aligned with different stages of the sun's journey across the sky. 6 such temples are believed to have been built during the 5th dynasty, though only 2 have ever been found. This raises profound questions. Were these temples isolated monuments of devotion, or parts of a coordinated system of celestial observation? Could ancient Egypt once have maintained a nationwide network of solar observatories synchronized to preserve cosmic balance and measure the rhythm of the heavens? In the end, what makes the sun temples of Nuser so astonishing is not only their age, but their impossible precision. Thousands of years before the invention of the compass or telescope, Egyptian architects had already mastered the art of aligning stone with the sky. This was not chance, it was knowledge, tested, refined, and deeply spiritual. The temple at Abu Ghurab may have been the world's first true fusion of astronomy, architecture, and theology, a place where the divine sun was not merely worshipped, but measured, charted, and understood. Perhaps in that blazing courtyard, where the obelisk's shadow fell perfectly across the altar at solstice, The priests of Ra glimpsed something that modern science still seeks, the unity between the heavens above and the earth below. Among all the relics that survived the fall of the Aztec Empire, few possess the mystery, artistry, and historical weight of the Codex Mendoza. Created around 1541, just 20 years after Hernán Cortés conquered Tenochtitlan, this manuscript remains one of the most extraordinary documents of the ancient world. Originally intended to explain the structure of Aztec society to the Spanish crown, it became something far deeper, a bridge between two civilizations, and a puzzle that continues to intrigue historians to this day. The Codex Mendoza is not merely a book. It is an entire universe captured on parchment. Its pages burst with color, geometry, and narrative rhythm. Every line and every glyph tells the story of a civilization that rose to greatness in the Valley of Mexico, guided by gods, warriors, and ritual. It details the empire's tribute system, social hierarchy, education, religion, and warfare with meticulous precision. Yet beneath this order lies a haunting question that has never been fully answered. Who truly created the Codex Mendoza? Was it the Aztec Tlacuilos, the painter-scribes, who sought to preserve their people's soul in every brushstroke? The Spanish friars who reinterpreted it through a European lens? Or was it something in between, a rare collaboration between conqueror and conquered, producing a work both controlled and quietly rebellious? The official story seems simple. Antonio de Mendoza, the first viceroy of New Spain, commissioned the manuscript for King Charles I of Spain. Its purpose was administrative, to help the crown understand the empire it had just seized. Yet Mendoza himself did not write it. He ordered indigenous Aztec scribes, trained in the ancient art of pictography, to paint the images, while Spanish priests and officials later added commentary and annotations in their own language. This dual authorship, Aztec imagery paired with European text, gives the Codex Mendoza its haunting, hybrid identity. It is both native and colonial, authentic and interpreted, sacred and bureaucratic. In essence, it is the voice of a conquered empire speaking through the pen of its conquerors. Many scholars believe that Tlacuilos did far more than follow Spanish orders. They encoded hidden meanings, cultural metaphors, and sacred symbols that the Spaniards could not fully grasp. In the Codex's first section, for example, the scribes depicted the founding of Tenochtitlan through layered imagery, an eagle perched on a cactus rising from a lake, an emblem of divine destiny surrounded by glyphs for conquered cities. These images were not mere decoration, they were acts of quiet defiance, preserving the heart of a civilization that refused to be forgotten. Who do you believe truly authored the Codex Mendoza? The Aztec scribes who embedded their spirit into every brushstroke, the Spanish priests who sought to control the narrative, or both? Share your thoughts below. Could this manuscript be not just a record of conquest, but a silent rebellion, an immortal dialogue between two worlds forever bound by ink and history? They form a sacred geography, a map written in myth. Later sections of the Codex Mendoza meticulously record the empire's tribute system. Dozens of provinces are depicted, each offering its due: cloaks, jade beads, jaguar pelts, cacao beans, bird feathers, and weapons. The level of precision is extraordinary for any 16th century document. But what astonishes modern scholars most is that many of these provinces cannot be identified on modern maps. Were they forgotten regions or symbolic territories tied to religion and myth? The Tlacuilos' visual language was as exacting as mathematics, yet layered with spiritual meaning. A spear could signify conquest, justice, or cosmic order. A flower might represent beauty or death. The Spanish scribes who annotated the Codex often misunderstood these subtle codes. What survives today is not a simple historical record, but a palimpsest. Two civilizations layered upon one another, each trying to interpret the other's truth. And here lies the heart of the mystery. Despite centuries of study, no one knows who actually painted or compiled the Codex Mendoza. None of the Tlacuilos were named, Their identities were erased by time and colonial rewriting. Yet stylistic evidence suggests that it was not the work of one artist, but a team of elite Aztec scribes, perhaps survivors of Tenochtitlan's fall, secretly preserving the memory of their lost empire. Some historians believe the manuscript may have been adapted from an earlier pre-conquest state record, now lost, an administrative chronicle of Aztec tribute and governance. If so, the Codex Mendoza would represent the last surviving echo of the empire's official archives, a near-mythical remnant of Aztec statecraft. Others suggest that the Tlacuilos deliberately transformed their art into a quiet act of resistance. They knew their world was ending, yet through their symbols and pigments, they ensured that its soul would endure. In this light, the Codex Mendoza becomes more than a colonial report. It is a coded farewell, a final message from a conquered civilization disguised as a bureaucratic document for the Spanish king. Its glyphs conceal prayers, its margins hide fragments of ancestral wisdom. It is the last voice of Tenochtitlan, speaking across centuries of silence. Modern technology has revealed even more. Multispectral imaging and pigment analysis show that certain colors used in the codex were unavailable after the Spanish conquest, hinting that the materials came from pre-Hispanic sources. Some glyphs appear to have been altered or painted over. Faint underdrawings suggest that the original layout may have been rearranged, perhaps censored, before being finalized. These clues point to a provocative theory that the Codex Mendoza we know today is not the original version at all, but a reconstruction, a carefully edited copy shaped by Spanish friars to make it acceptable for European eyes. If that is true, then somewhere, lost, hidden, or destroyed, there may once have existed a prototype, a purely indigenous manuscript that recorded the unfiltered worldview of the Aztecs before colonization. Even after its creation, the Codex's journey was as dramatic as its contents. In 1542, it was placed aboard a ship bound for Spain, but before it reached its destination, French pirates seized the vessel and looted its cargo. The manuscript vanished for decades, passing through unknown hands. When it resurfaced in France late in the 16th century, scholars noticed changes, annotations in different inks, missing pages, and inconsistencies in iconography. From there it traveled to England, perhaps even to Egypt, before finally finding refuge in Oxford's Bodleian Library, where it rests today. For nearly a century, the Codex Mendoza drifted in obscurity. No one knows who possessed it, studied it, or perhaps copied it. Was it hidden by collectors, traded among scholars, or secretly replicated, leaving multiple versions scattered across Europe? This lost chapter in its history adds yet another layer to its enigma. The Codex Mendoza is not merely a record of a vanished civilization. It is itself a survivor, scarred by conquest, exile, and rediscovery. Within its pages, we see the pulse of a brilliant world. Children learning discipline, warriors earning honor, priests offering sacrifice, merchants crossing deserts and jungles with tribute for their emperor. Each page breathes with life, order, and artistry, and yet the faces of its creators are gone. The names of the Tlacuilos, the painter-philosophers who once captured the universe in pigment and line, were never written down. Their voices have faded, but through their art, their world still speaks. It is as if the Aztec scribes deliberately erased their own names, allowing the Codex Mendoza to speak not as the work of individuals, but as the collective voice of an entire civilization. Perhaps that was their true intention, to let their art become the soul of a people. Far from the ruins of Tenochtitlan, deep within the emerald labyrinth of the Ecuadorian Amazon, lies another mystery that continues to haunt modern explorers, the legend of the Metal Library, hidden beneath the remote Taos Cave. For decades, this supposed collection of metallic books has fascinated adventurers, scientists, and dreamers alike. Some call it the last relic of a lost super-civilization. Others whisper that it is a vault of alien knowledge buried long before human history began. What makes this mystery so compelling is not only the claim that such a library exists, but the question at its heart: who created it and why? If rows of engraved metal plates truly lie beneath the jungle, filled with knowledge far beyond their time, who were their makers? A forgotten ancient people, visitors from the stars, or our own ancestors, whose genius we have long underestimated? In 1969, an Argentinian-Hungarian explorer named Juan Morich announced an extraordinary discovery in southern Ecuador, a vast subterranean network called the Cueva de los Tallos, or Cave of the Oil Birds. Deep within, he claimed to have seen rows of metallic plates engraved with strange symbols, maps, and figures unlike any known language on Earth. Morich described the find as a library made of metal, containing the lost history and science of an ancient civilization. He said he was guided there by members of the indigenous Shuar tribe, who revered the cave as sacred, a repository of knowledge from the stars. His claims stunned the scientific community. How could a library of metal books exist in one of the most inaccessible places on Earth? If true, it could rewrite the entire history of civilization. The story captured global attention when, in 1976, Neil Armstrong, the first man to walk on the moon, joined a large British-Ecuadorian expedition to explore Tallos Cave. The team, composed of scientists, engineers, soldiers, and explorers, mapped the underground system with military precision, descending hundreds of meters through narrow shafts into vast chambers of cathedral-like proportions. What they found only deepened the mystery. The cave was immense, with smooth walls and rectangular passages that appeared too geometric to be natural. Some surfaces looked machine-cut, with right angles and polished floors that seemed deliberately carved. And yet, there was no trace of the metal library. Had it been removed, hidden deeper underground, or was it a myth protected by the Shuar people? Armstrong himself never publicly discussed what he saw, a silence that only added fuel to the legend, according to Morich and his supporters, among them the controversial author Erich von Däniken. The metal library was composed of hundreds of thin, metallic plates made from an unknown alloy. Their surfaces were etched with intricate symbols, celestial maps, diagrams of human anatomy, and geometric designs reminiscent of circuit boards. Some plates allegedly depicted great cataclysms and migrations, as though recording the memory of the Earth itself. The metal, Morich said, showed no sign of rust or decay, impervious to the jungle's humidity, a level of metallurgical skill unknown in any ancient culture. Later explorers who ventured into Tallos Cave reported similar wonders: walls cut into perfect planes, corridors branching at precise angles, ceilings smooth as though molded. The geometry seemed far too regular to be the product of nature alone. If the metal library truly exists, it suggests that someone or something shaped this place long before recorded history. And that brings us to the ultimate question: who built it? Over the decades, countless theories have emerged. Some claim the library was created by a lost civilization that predates the Incas, the Maya, even the Sumerians, a people who mastered metallurgy, astronomy, and writing before a great cataclysm erased them from history. Perhaps Tallos Cave was one of several knowledge vaults, built to preserve wisdom before a flood, a comet impact, or global collapse. In this view, the cave could be a surviving fragment of humanity's forgotten golden age, echoing myths of Atlantis or Lemuria. Others, following von Däniken's ancient astronaut theory, suggest that the library is not human at all, that it was created by visitors from beyond the stars, beings who shared knowledge with early humans and left behind a record of their teachings in metal. No conclusive proof has ever been found. Yet the legend endures, fueled by mystery, silence, and the allure of the impossible. Deep within the heart of the Amazon, the metal library of Tallos still waits, real or imagined, a mirror reflecting humanity's greatest questions about our origins. our lost knowledge, and the thin line between myth and history. If you could descend into those dark caverns yourself, would you dare to seek it, or would you leave the secret undisturbed, a mystery sleeping beneath the jungle's eternal green? The intricate engravings, the mysterious alloy, and the flawless geometric precision all seem to hint at something beyond human craftsmanship. Some believe these details point toward a non-terrestrial intelligence, beings from another world who may have left behind their knowledge for humanity to discover when it was ready. The legends of the Shuar people, who speak of sky beings descending from the heavens to gift wisdom to humankind, seem to echo this idea. If true, then the metal library could be nothing less than a cosmic archive, a database written in indestructible metal by entities who once walked among the stars. A third, lesser-known theory suggests a more profound collaboration, that the library was the result of an alliance between early humans and an advanced race, whether extraterrestrial or from a long-forgotten epoch of Earth's own history. Perhaps it was created to safeguard the combined wisdom of two worlds, human spirituality and alien science, hidden away when that partnership collapsed. Yet, at the core of the mystery lies a single, haunting question: who created it? If the metallic plates truly exist, their makers must have possessed astonishing metallurgical skill, capable of crafting corrosion-proof alloys that remain untarnished after millennia in the humid depths of the Amazon. They would have understood mathematics and astronomy to a degree far beyond any known ancient culture, engraving detailed maps of constellations, planetary systems, and even the structure of the universe itself. And the design of Taos Cave, with its smooth walls, perfect right angles, and artificial corridors, implies a mastery of subterranean engineering that surpasses anything attributed to prehistoric humans. But perhaps the greater question is why it was built. What knowledge were they trying to preserve, and for whom? Some theorists believe the creators were the last survivors of a forgotten civilization, the final scientists of a dying world, safeguarding their wisdom before a global cataclysm. Others insist that the library was left by visitors from the stars, a message or guide meant for humanity's future. Another possibility is even more haunting, that the library is the work of our own distant ancestors, a highly advanced civilization erased from memory by time itself. Each theory, no matter how implausible, challenges our deepest assumptions about human history. Perhaps the true significance of the metal library lies not in the metal plates themselves, but in the timeless message they represent, the eternal human drive to preserve knowledge beyond the reach of oblivion. Despite decades of exploration and debate, no verified evidence of the metal library has ever been found. The 1976 British Ecuadorian expedition, which included Neil Armstrong, remains the most extensive investigation of Taos Cave. Yet even with its scientific precision, nothing conclusive was uncovered. Most researchers today dismiss the story as a myth born from misinterpretation and exaggeration. But others remain unconvinced. They argue that the real library may still be sealed within uncharted depths, hidden behind collapsed tunnels or beneath underground rivers, places untouched for tens of thousands of years. Even now, large portions of the Taos system remain unexplored. The Ecuadorian government restricts access to protect the region, and satellite scans have revealed strange geometric patterns beneath the dense jungle canopy, suggesting that the underground labyrinth could be far larger than anyone imagined. Yet no one knows what lies in its darkest chambers, and so the question endures: who built the metal library, and what knowledge does it guard? Was it a warning, a record, or a gift to the future? Until someone uncovers those elusive metallic pages, the truth will remain one of the greatest enigmas of our planet, beneath the endless sands of the Gobi Desert, where the horizon dissolves into waves of heat and dust. Another mystery sleeps, the lost city of Karakoto, the Black City. For centuries, it lay buried beneath the dunes, its once bustling streets and towering temples reduced to ruins and whispers. Founded in the 11th century by the Tangut Empire, rulers of the enigmatic Western Xia civilization, Karakoto was once a shining outpost along the northern branch of the Silk Road, a beacon of trade, learning and faith within its massive square walls. Nearly 400 meters across and 9 meters high, stood temples, stupas, watchtowers, and bustling markets where silk, spices, and sacred manuscripts changed hands between China, Central Asia, and Persia. But the desert gives as much as it takes. What was once a radiant city of prosperity became a tomb of silence. The same winds that carried merchants' voices now howl through hollow gates. The same sand that buried its enemies eventually swallowed the city itself. What makes Karakoto unforgettable is not only the mystery of its civilization, but the enigmatic tragedy that ended it. Did the Black City fall to war, to famine, or to the vengeance of the desert itself? When the Yuan dynasty collapsed in the 14th century, Karakoto too fell into ruin. In 1372, it was reportedly destroyed by Ming forces, but legends tell of something darker. Some say the Tangut people defied the heavens, practicing forbidden rituals that brought a curse upon their city. Others claim they sealed away sacred relics beneath the sand to protect them from invaders, and in doing so, doomed themselves. Today, Karakoto stands as a ghostly shell beneath the shifting dunes, its crumbling walls casting long shadows at sunset. The desert keeps its secrets well. Was the city's fall a tale of human pride, divine retribution, or something far stranger? What do you think truly happened to the Black City? Was it war, nature, or a curse buried beneath the sands of the Gobi? Perhaps, like the metal library of Ecuador, its truth still sleeps beneath the earth, waiting for the day it will be uncovered. Karakoto faced an invisible doom. Chinese chronicles mention a Ming army sent to reclaim the western frontier, but beyond that, the records fall silent. Legends, however, tell a far darker story, of a siege that lasted for weeks, perhaps months. The Ming forces, determined to erase the last stronghold of the Tangut descendants who had survived Mongol conquest, encircled the city, the Edzin-Gol River. The city's lifeline once flowed beside its walls, feeding its wells and crops. In a ruthless stroke of strategy, the attackers diverted the river, cutting off Karakoto's only source of water. At first, the Tangut citizens must have believed they could endure. The Black City had withstood Mongol raids and the harshest storms of the Gobi. But this was different. This was a slow death, one that came not by the sword, but by thirst. Day by day the wells dried. Clay jars cracked in the sun. Horses collapsed in the streets. In the temples, monks offered desperate prayers as the air grew thick with the stench of decay. As the sands began to creep over the walls, whispers of betrayal and curses filled the night. One tale claims the Tangut governor Kabu refused to surrender. When defeat was certain, he killed his family and then himself. Another version says he opened the gates under cover of darkness, allowing the enemy in, only to vanish without a trace. None of these accounts can be verified, but all agree on one truth. The city died in silence, surrounded by shifting dunes and endless thirst. When explorers rediscovered Karakoto centuries later, they found bones near the dried riverbed, as though the last citizens had crawled toward the vanished water. Scorched walls hinted at a desperate final battle. Yet many temples were untouched, their relics preserved, as if the conquerors had left in haste, or something unseen had driven them away. After the fall, the desert reclaimed what remained. Over decades, storms buried the city, turning it into a myth. Nomads avoided the region, calling it Haicheng, the Black City, and warning that it was cursed. Travelers who dared to camp among its ruins reported hearing voices chanting Buddhist sutras in the wind. Others swore they saw ghostly figures walking the ramparts beneath the moon. By the 18th century, Karakoto had disappeared from all maps. It was not until 1908 that Russian explorer Pyotr Kozlov rediscovered the ruins, following rumors of a dead city beneath the dunes. What he found stunned the world. A perfectly preserved fortress of blackened stone, half buried in sand like a ship frozen in a sea of dust. Inside, Kozlov unearthed thousands of manuscripts written in the long-lost Tangut script, a language unread for 7 centuries. These hidden texts, religious sutras, administrative decrees, poems, offered a window into a civilization erased from memory. Scholars soon realized Karakoto was more than a ruin. It was a time capsule, a haunting echo of an entire world. Yet even now its core mystery endures. Why did the city fall so utterly? Why were the temples sealed so deliberately, as if the people knew what was coming? And why do local legends claim that the sands themselves reject any attempt to rebuild, that whenever walls rise again, the desert swallows them whole? The tragedy of Karakoto mirrors the fate of the Tangut civilization itself, a people who appeared suddenly in history and vanished just as suddenly. Their art, language, and religion blended Chinese, Tibetan, and Central Asian influences, yet remained distinct, evidence of a uniquely sophisticated culture. They practiced a fusion of Buddhism, Taoism, and animism, leaving behind scrolls painted with strange deities, hybrid figures, half human, half beast. Some archaeologists believe their fall was not merely military, but spiritual, a civilization that lost harmony with the harsh desert it depended on. The Gobi is merciless. A single shift in the river's course, a few seasons of drought, and entire empires can vanish. Perhaps Karakoto's end came not from war or curse, but from the slow hand of nature. Yet to those who perished within its walls, it must have felt like divine punishment. Today, Karakoto stands as both ruin and revelation. Its sun-scorched towers rise from the sand, like the bones of a lost world. The wind that whispers through its gates seems to carry memories of the prayers once spoken there. Travelers still report faint voices on the night air, some say chanting, others the sighs of a city that refuses to die. Beneath the burning sky of the Gobi, the Black City endures, a ghost of stone, forever remembering what it lost. Its rediscovery forever changed what historians knew about the Western Shia. The manuscripts recovered from Karakoto are still studied in museums across Russia and China, revealing fragments of a world once lost to the sands. Yet for all archaeology has uncovered, the city's most haunting truth lies beyond science. Karakoto's fall is more than a historical tragedy. It is a warning etched into the bones of the desert. It reminds us that civilizations do not always end with fire and conquest, but sometimes with silence, with the slow retreat of a river or the shifting of a single dune. Power, faith, and survival are fragile threads, easily unraveled by time. The city's blackened walls still stand, defiant against the Gobi winds. But look closer, and you'll see how the sands have already begun reclaiming them, grain by grain, minute by minute. The same sands that once killed Karakoto now guard its memory, as if the desert itself became both tomb and protector. Somewhere beneath those dunes may still rest sealed temples, unread scrolls, and relics of a vanished people, perhaps even the final record of the Tanguts themselves. Until those remnants are found, Karakoto remains a city between worlds, between history and legend, between death and eternity. In the end, the mystery of the Black City is not only about how it was built or why it fell, but what it tells us about our own impermanence, that no matter how mighty a civilization becomes, it takes only the loss of a single river, a single breath of wind, for time to bury it beneath the sands. Karakoto still waits in silence beneath a sky of burning stars, whispering through the dunes, "Remember us. We were here, we lived. And we died, not by war, but by thirst, across the ancient world, from the high Andes of Peru to the sun-scorched plains of Egypt, from the jungle temples of Cambodia to the megaliths of Turkey. Archaeologists have uncovered something so precise and so out of place that it continues to baffle modern science. The mysterious metal clamps that bind together massive stone blocks carved thousands of years ago. These small, often I or T-shaped fittings appear wedged perfectly into grooves between stones weighing tens of tons. At first glance, they seem like simple joinery, but the deeper one looks, the more they suggest a forgotten technology, and perhaps a forgotten teacher. The story of these anomalous clamps began in South America, among the Cyclopean walls of Ollantaytambo and Sacsayhuaman. Their enormous stones fit so tightly that not even a knife blade can slide between them. In the joints between blocks, faint metallic traces shimmer, not nails, not bolts, but cast metal staples joining the stones. Tests revealed alloys of copper, arsenic, nickel, and silicon, combinations unknown to Andean metallurgists of that era. How could such mixtures have been created without advanced furnaces or precise temperature control? And even if the alloy existed, how was molten metal poured into gaps no wider than a finger without cracking the stone around it? Soon, similar clamps were found elsewhere. In Egypt, they linked the sandstone blocks of Karnak Temple. In India, they appeared in stepwells and ancient fortresses. In Turkey, even the enigmatic site of Göbekli Tepe, dating back more than 11,000 years, shows traces of metallic bonding between pillars. The pattern is global, yet the cultures share no known contact. Somehow, across continents and millennia, the same engineering concept emerged, the use of metal staples to fuse colossal stones without mortar. The technique defies easy explanation. Each cavity was carved with mathematical precision, often mirror-aligned across adjoining blocks. The molten metal was poured, cooled, and solidified, locking the structures into seamless unity. Even major earthquakes failed to shatter these walls. Instead, the stones flexed as if alive, moving as a single organism. Modern builders still marvel at their durability. Most modern concrete could not replicate such resilience. Even more puzzling, many of these clamps are made from alloys that should not have existed in their time. Some contain lead mixed with iron or manganese. Others resist corrosion altogether. Spectrometer analysis has even revealed non-native elements, suggesting refined smelting or the use of imported materials. How could societies without written metallurgy or iron furnaces have produced such sophistication? The simplest explanation, coincidence, feels increasingly insufficient. Who then taught the ancients to bind mountains with metal? Was it the work of a lost global civilization, the legacy of ancient gods, or simply the genius of human engineers centuries ahead of their time? The clamps remain silent, but in their silence, they speak of something profound, that our ancestors may have known far more about Earth, metal, and time than we dare to imagine. Scientists have proposed practical reasons for these mysterious metal clamps. Some suggest they were used to stabilize massive structures against earthquakes. Others believe they helped distribute weight evenly across irregular stones. A few even think they held symbolic meaning, tokens of unity and endurance, linking stone to stone as sacred bonds. Yet as more sites across the world reveal the same fittings, identical in shape, scale, and alloy, the theory of isolated invention begins to crumble. How could civilizations separated by oceans and millennia have created the same engineering solution so precisely? Here the mystery deepens. If these cultures never met, who taught them? Some archaeologists, cautious but intrigued, propose that these clamps might be the fingerprints of a lost global culture, a mother civilization that predated all others. Its technological traces may survive only in stone, its memory preserved in myth. Across continents, stories tell of floods, fires, and gods descending from the sky, echoes perhaps of a forgotten world erased by catastrophe. Could these clamps be physical remnants of that network, fragments of an ancient knowledge system that once spanned the earth? Others offer a more conservative view that the technique arose independently, a parallel evolution of engineering driven by similar challenges. But even this explanation falters when confronted with the uncanny uniformity of the clamps. The angles of the grooves, the proportions of width to depth, even the metallurgy, copper arsenic alloys in Peru, lead iron in Egypt, and nearly identical molds in Turkey and India, all match with startling precision. Coincidence begins to strain belief. Some of the boldest theorists go further still. They suggest that these clamps were not merely structural but energetic, part of an ancient system that harnessed the Earth's natural currents. According to this view, the metals acted as conductors, channeling subtle electrical or vibrational energy through the stones, harmonizing frequencies or stabilizing the structures through resonance. They point to the piezoelectric properties of certain stones, the conductivity of the alloys, and the way some temples seem to hum with low-frequency vibrations. Though mainstream science dismisses such ideas as speculation, they tap into a deeper intuition that the ancients may have understood something about matter and energy that modern society has forgotten. Even if one sets aside these more esoteric theories, the central question remains: who taught them how to do this? According to accepted timelines, metallurgy evolved slowly, from hammered native copper to smelted bronze to the long progression toward iron and steel. Yet these clamps appear in sites thousands of years older than that technological curve would allow. If they were inventions of isolated brilliance, why did the method vanish? Why did later builders, like the Inca, continue stacking the same stones, but abandon the clamps that held them together? Some researchers believe the answer lies in cultural discontinuity, civilizations rising on the ruins of predecessors whose technologies were only half remembered. The builders of Sacsayhuaman, for instance, may not have been the Inca themselves, but inheritors of walls left by an older and more advanced people. The same could be true of Egypt. The earliest temples that show metal clamps may predate the dynastic era, remnants of a forgotten experimental age of architecture. Viewed through this lens, the metal clamps become something far greater than mere construction features. They are signatures, traces of an instruction manual scattered across continents. Each one is a question etched in metal. Who were our teachers? Perhaps they were early humans who mastered metallurgy beyond our understanding, their world destroyed by natural cataclysm. Perhaps they were seafarers or astronomers who carried their craft across oceans long before recorded history. Or perhaps the knowledge itself was not entirely human, handed down by those ancient gods who, according to legend, taught humankind to build, to measure, and to dream. Whatever their origin, the pattern is undeniable. Across time and geography, the same architectural logic and metallurgical precision appear again and again, as though humanity once spoke a single, universal technical language, and then forgot it. Our textbooks call it coincidence. The stones, however, seem to disagree. Modern science continues to probe the mystery. Laser scanning, isotopic testing, and metallographic microscopes reveal more data but no clear answers. No laboratory has yet replicated the process under ancient conditions, pouring molten metal into narrow grooves without cracking the surrounding stone remains a formidable challenge even today. And yet the ancient builders achieved it flawlessly. Standing before those walls, the sense of time dissolves. The clamps, now oxidized but unbroken, still shimmer faintly under the sun, binding together stones that have outlasted empires, wars, and earthquakes. They are more than artifacts of engineering. They are whispers, echoes of a forgotten conversation between humanity and its teachers. Whoever they were, could it be that the same unknown hands guided builders from Egypt to Peru, leaving behind identical techniques, signatures of a shared origin? Or did ancient minds, scattered across the world, somehow awaken to the same idea, as if knowledge itself were a universal instinct waiting to be remembered? We may never know for certain, but the anomalous metal clamps remain silent and unyielding, mocking our modern arrogance. They remind us that the past was not primitive, it was profound. Somewhere behind those cold alloys lies the story of a civilization, or perhaps a species of thinkers, that once mastered the art of binding stone and time together. Until we can answer the question who taught them, Every clamp gleaming between ancient stones will continue to echo across the ages, urging us to listen to the lessons our ancestors left behind, lessons we have not yet learned to read. Stretching across the sun-baked savannas of West Africa, between the borders of Senegal and the Gambia, leads one of humanity's most haunting enigmas, the stone circles of Senegambia. Thousands of standing stones rise from the red laterite earth, their weathered surfaces bearing witness to more than 1,000 years of wind, rain, and silence. Carved and raised by unknown hands, these monoliths have endured for over a millennium, and still, their purpose remains a mystery. From above, the circles appear deliberate, even mathematical, perfect rings of pillars, some slender and tall, others massive and squat, arranged in geometric harmony. There are over 1,000 stone circles, spread across a region more than 350 kilometers long, containing more than 28,000 individual monoliths. Each circle consists of 8 to 25 stones, precisely cut and aligned with remarkable symmetry. Construction began around the 3rd century BCE and continued until the 16th century CE, spanning nearly 2,000 years of continuous effort. What makes these circles so captivating is not just their scale, but their silence. Unlike the megaliths of Europe, the builders of the Senegambian circles left no inscriptions, no carvings, no language to explain their purpose, only the enduring weight of stone and the intuition that they were built to connect earth, life, and the unseen world. If you were to stand at the center of one of these circles under the same vast African sky that guided its builders, what would you feel? Were these stones meant to honor the dead, chart the heavens, or serve as gateways to the spirit realm? Excavations have revealed that beneath several circles lie burial chambers, containing human remains, accompanied by iron spears, pottery, beads, and jewelry. Many skeletons were positioned in ritual postures, curled or facing east, as if awaiting rebirth. This led to the early belief that the circles were sacred cemeteries, monuments to tribal leaders or revered ancestors. Yet not all circles contain graves. Many stand empty, no bones, no ashes, no artifacts. Instead, some are aligned with uncanny precision toward the horizon, their openings facing the rising or setting sun during the solstices. These astronomical alignments suggest a deeper cosmic purpose. Could it be that the circles were observatories of the sky, places where ancient astronomers charted the movement of stars, the rhythm of the seasons, and the cycles that governed life itself? Perhaps they served both roles, burial grounds and celestial sanctuaries, bridging the world of the living and the realm of the ancestors. Across West African traditions, life and the cosmos are inseparable. The stars are seen as the souls of the departed, and the heavens as the eternal village of the dead. Building a circle of stones to mirror the circle of stars above would have been a sacred act, an architecture of belief uniting heaven and earth. Recent studies of the major sites, such as Sininayen and Wasu, reveal that some circles form astronomical patterns, their spacing mirroring the apparent path of the sun and moon. Others align precisely with the cardinal directions, north, south, east, and west, suggesting deliberate design, not coincidence, whether built as tombs, temples, or observatories. The stone circles of Senegambia embody the human desire to find order in the universe, to anchor memory, spirit, and time in enduring form. They stand as quiet witnesses to a truth older than history itself, that long before we measured the stars with machines, we measured them with faith, with geometry, and with stone. At sunrise on the equinox, shafts of light pierce through the narrow gaps between the stones, illuminating a central pillar as if touched by a celestial hand. This breathtaking alignment has drawn comparisons to Stonehenge in England and Nabta Playa in Egypt, sites where megalithic architecture became a calendar of the cosmos. Yet the Senegambian stone circles predate most sub-Saharan monuments, revealing an independent tradition of sky worship. Here, astronomy was not a science to be studied, but a spiritual act, a way of communing with the heavens. Watching the stars was prayer, and the circles were temples, translating the language of the sky into stone. Even today, local elders speak of the stones as the eyes of the ancestors, forever watching the heavens. To them, these circles are not relics, they are living altars, where the rhythm of the stars and the rhythm of human life meet in harmony. Beyond their astronomical and funerary roles lies a deeper, more enigmatic layer. For centuries, the circles have been regarded as sacred and forbidden by the surrounding communities. The Mandinka, Sera, and Jola peoples believe the stones hold powerful spiritual energy. Disturbing them is said to invite misfortune. Some circles are avoided entirely. Others remain active sites of offerings, prayer, and initiation. During the full moon, villagers tell of mysterious lights hovering above the stones, said to be the spirits of the ancestors returning. The air grows still, the animals fall silent, and the people whisper, "The ancient ones are walking again." Even skeptics admit there is something uncanny in the atmosphere. An energy, a presence that no instrument can measure. Perhaps that is why the builders chose the circle. The circle is eternal, without beginning or end, symbolizing the continuity of life, death, and rebirth. Each ring of stones mirrors the cycles of the stars above and the unbroken journey of the soul. The mystery deepens when we consider the technical mastery required to build them. Carved from laterite, one of the hardest stones to shape, the monoliths were quarried from bedrock and transported up to 15 kilometers without the use of metal tools, cranes, or wheels. Some weigh more than 7 tons, yet they stand perfectly upright, arranged with geometric precision. This reveals a highly organized society, one with knowledge of engineering, mathematics, and astronomy, a civilization advanced enough to plan monumental architecture, yet humble enough to leave no written record. To archaeologists, that silence is the most tantalizing mystery. So much labor, yet so little explanation. Who were these people? What faith drove them to devote centuries to stone monuments that pointed to the sky? Were they the ancestors of the Ghana or Mali empires, or members of an older, forgotten culture buried beneath the layers of time? In 2006, UNESCO declared the stone circles of Senegambia a World Heritage Site, describing them as a remarkable testimony to a prosperous, organized, and enduring culture. Yet despite decades of research, no single theory explains their purpose. Some circles guard the dead, others mark celestial events. Still others stand silent, refusing all interpretation. Perhaps that is their secret. They were never meant to be understood in only one way. For their builders, there was no separation between death and divinity, between earth and sky. The same stones that honored the ancestors also measured the sun, whispered prayers, and mirrored the eternal rhythm of the cosmos. Standing among them today, the air hums with insects and the sigh of the wind. The stones cast long shadows that stretch toward the horizon, tracing the same solar paths their builders once watched. Time seems to pause, and in that stillness you begin to understand why people call them the meeting place of earth and sky. So what were they truly? Tombs for kings? Observatories of the cosmos? Gateways to the spirit world? Perhaps all three. Perhaps, like life itself, they were circles, unbroken, eternal, and full of mystery. Even now the stones stand as silent witnesses to a wisdom we have forgotten, and to a question humanity may never fully answer.